Hi, welcome to Daddy Curb's garden. Today I'm going to do some maintenance, some care for this bed, which on this far end is asparagus. I'm not that great at growing asparagus yet. I've only had one season. I started these from crowns, but as I was reading about the asparagus, I found that they do like a lot of organic material and fertilizer. We're not going to use any inorganic fertilizer. We're going to add a lot of very rich compost to the top, and I'll show you where I'm getting that here in just a minute. But I'm going to use my little phone here to capture a little bit of video, and I'll splice this in for you. But in this bed here, you can see little asparagus starting to come up. Now we have had some cold nights, so some of the asparagus came up, got cold, and fell right over. Now the asparagus that looks dead is from last season. The winter came, got cold, and the asparagus grew up. The tops of it died, so I just cut it off right there at the base. This is one that's coming up now. All right, there's a close-up view of the asparagus bed. So let's get some tools and some buckets, some compost, and let's get started on this bed. I wanted to share with you about this compost pile. This is different than most of the compost that I've created here on the farm up to this date. But a few weeks ago, actually right before Christmas, so maybe 6 weeks ago, I started putting stuff from the chicken coop, you know, the floor layer of the chicken coop, from the goat pen, just hay and leaf material. Whatever I can get, I'd put right here in the chicken run, and I would pile it up, and the chickens scratch it out, play in it, eat from it, loosen it all up, and then I'll come out here with a rake and I'll rake it up, put it in a pile again, and they just go at it again. This has broken down. You know, it's not fine compost, it's not completely finished dirt compost, but it's very loose, very small particles. It's got lots of different, you know, chicken poop, goat poop, leaves and hay, and just all kinds of kitchen scraps and things in here. So this is going to be very rich, fine organic matter to add to the top of the garden. I had to cut the camera there for a minute because we had a goat escape. So we're back. So we're going to go ahead and collect a couple bucketfuls of this, probably 3 or 4 5-gallon bucketfuls, just to add to a top layer of the garden. So let's get started. In this bed last season, I had sweet potatoes and the asparagus. Around the sweet potatoes, I had the cedar mulch. I'm going to scrape that back because I don't want to bury that underneath this compost. So give me a minute while I rake that top layer off. Now that we got the cedar mulch pulled off of this end of the bed, and this bed really never had any cedar mulch on it, it's all clear. I'm going to go ahead and add the organic material to the top to help feed the asparagus and add a layer to this end for whatever I plant in the spring. This bedding material is pretty rich. It's got the chicken manure and the goat manure in it. That richness is going to be okay for the asparagus because they are the heavy feeders. Whatever I plant on the other end is going to have a benefit of this sitting here for a couple months before it actually gets planted. So that'll give it time to break down a little more. So we have the layer of organic material, which was the composted leaves, down, and I put a little bit more of the cedar mulch on top here. The cedar mulch is pretty broken down from last year too, but I wanted it to be on top and not buried. When I shoveled it out, I put it in these buckets. It makes it easier to reapply. Oh, by the way, if you need buckets, you could go to your big box store and buy them for $4, $5, $6, but you can also go to a local sandwich shop that has, like a deli shop, Every time I go get a sandwich from a local shop, I look to see if they have any buckets because they put them outside under the counter with a little label that says free. They smell the car up pretty bad on their way home because they smell horribly of pickles, but the garden doesn't care. There you have it. We took care of the asparagus bed. We prepared the rest of the bed for something else later this year. Now we do expect some cold nights, so I'm hoping that this layer of organic material will also act as a blanket or a mulch to help protect the young asparagus that are poking through. So I did not carry the cedar mulch onto the asparagus end. I believe I heard or saw or read somewhere that asparagus doesn't, for some reason, like the cedar. I don't know that for sure, but right now I'm just not going to do it. We'll figure it out as we go. Thank you for joining me here in the Daddy Kurt's garden. I'll talk to you soon.